welcome back to doing it live, I guess.
Yeah, we're doing it live. Welcome to the show.
We're doing it live. Honestly, take two. Oh.
Yeah.
It's one of those days.
Yeah, it's one of those weeks. No one's really having a good time right now.
Yeah. We all know there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And we tried to do our normal lighthearted humor thing, and then we would have a statement about what's going on in the world, because it feels really disingenuous to not bring it up. And we got partway through recording, and it was just like, oh, this is really bad.
No, this is not. It's just, for me, it's like, I have to try, I do everything in my power to just keep things positive and keep a lighthearted energy. And that's what I want this podcast to overall be. It's just, so much is happening right now, and the voices that you don't need to hear is ours.
Yeah, honestly.
We're not the people that you need to be listening to right now. There's countless of people that you should be listening to rather than us. And other people's content is just... It might just be a better idea to go check out them, because there's some really good stuff out there that's not us.
Yeah. Everybody knows that I like fictional podcasts. I mentioned that a lot last week. So all of the podcasts I talk about were fictional podcasts other than ours, and My Brother and Me, which borderline fantasy at this point, I think. But I found a list online, and I've checked out pretty much all of these so far, and they're from Black creators, kind of voices you should be listening to right now instead of ours, in my opinion. Fictional podcasts of varying degrees, and if you don't mind, I'd like to share a couple of them that I really liked.
Please do.
Okay, the first one, I got this from a list by Death by Dying Pod on Tumblr, whom I know nothing about, but I feel it's important to always credit where you get things from.
Credit your sources,
Yeah. If there's anything you learn in college, it's to cite your sources.
It's the only thing, but yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much. So the first one is Flyest Fables, which is an anthology of fairy tales of black kids having fantastical adventures, written, produced, and acted by Morgan Givens. And they're very lighthearted, and I really enjoyed them. Like, I've listened to a couple of episodes, so I definitely would 100% recommend it. You can find them on Twitter at Flyest Fables, or on Instagram at the same thing. The next one is Vega, a sci-fi adventure podcast, which is about an assassin. I only got to listen to the first episode because I was listening at work. But the tone that the narrator uses throughout the podcast is really conversational, and it feels like somebody is sitting across from you, just like completely spinning this tale of sci-fi futurism and assassination. Which is very good.
Intrigue,
very good. You can find them on Twitter at Vega Podcast and at Instagram at the same tag. And a third one, I'll only touch on three, but the last one is Nightlight, a horror fiction for all. It's a horror anthology series written by Black writers and performed by Black actors. And I like horror. As I've said, horror is probably the best way to creep me out with podcasts. Sorry, that was probably a very incoherent sentence. I think that podcasts are the best medium for horror in this day and time. Keep going. I listened to a couple episodes of Nightlight Pod, or at Nightlight Pod on Instagram and on Twitter, and it was startlingly good. I didn't get far enough to see if there was any kind of overarching connecting theme, but it was really, genuinely scary. The first episode I listened to was a great short story connected into a larger narrative that is available in book form. And I would definitely, 10 out of 10 recommend it if you're looking for another horror podcast, if you've already binged the Magnus Archives.
Like you.
Like me. Yeah, so that's who I'm gonna plug this week. I think 3 really good voices that, if you're looking for entertainment, you've got a nice variety to pick from sci-fi adventure to horror to lighthearted fairy tales.
Definitely. I like it. Thank you. I have a couple of things here. First off, I've only watched a little bit of it, but they've got a good voice and they're very interesting to listen to. But where is my... There is a podcast called Spawn on Me. I don't know when it came out. It's by Khalif Adams, and it is a gaming news podcast, more or less as simple as a lot of other things, but they do also showcase black gamers and black developers all the time. So they definitely know how to represent, and it's genuinely very interesting to listen to. People that I've been listening to these guys for years. But Wooly Wools, you can find him at Wooly Wools. He has a YouTube channel called Wooly Versus, where he puts up a bunch of stuff for, he's got like the kind of the simplest of Let's Plays and things like that. He's a funny dude. He does a lot for the fighting game community. And he's one of the people that may allow, it was his advertising and his I don't know what the word is. I don't think propaganda is the right word, but it was him yelling at people about the game that Skullgirls is a thing now.
I think endorsement is the word you're
Endorsement,
looking for.
I think, yes. I don't know how to...
because propaganda is, a negative thing.
That's a negative. Right? Well, it doesn't have to be a negative. It's used negative. That's not the point. That's not the point.
Yes, continue.
He did, in the early days of when Skullgirls, which is a fighting game with American indie studio, just most beautiful, 2-dimensional art style and animation. Is so good. It's amazing. But that game was, not going to come out. And then he did a bunch of videos with another friend of his, and the game came out, and they are background characters in one of the stages. And I just watched one of his live streams the other day on Twitter at Wooly Versus, I believe, that he just broke down, he didn't break it down, but he got pro Skullgirls players on, and they taught him how to play it, and it was really fun. It was really interesting, and he does that all the time. He has a series called Get Into Fighting Games, and then he has 2 taglines, for fun and for glory, where it's this is what we're going to play just for having fun. When we do for glory, it's this is how you get good, and this is the things that you need to practice if you want to start going to tournaments and stuff, which I think all that stuff that he does for that community is really cool. Another person that I think people should follow to give a look out for is, where is it? At Blessing Jr. Blessing is a fairly newer employee to Kind of Funny, which is a independent studio that kind of is a part of Rooster Teeth. I think Rooster Teeth just handles their merchandise and ads, but otherwise they are their own company. Mm-hmm. But Kind of Funny is a bunch of ex-IGN employees and stuff. And Blessing is their newest employee, who hosts 2 of their podcasts. The PS I Love You, which is a PlayStation topic podcast. And then he also hosts, or at least is a part of, Kind of Funny Games Daily almost every day.
Okay.
He's really fun to listen to, and he was actually both Wooly and Blessing. And this is why these 2 specifically I was reminded of them. The Inside Gaming podcast, which is called Send News, which I think is a good name.
Oh my gosh.
They are bringing in people from the community and stuff like that. They're bringing in a lot of black journalists and creators within kind of their umbrella, the Rooster Teeth umbrella, to come in and talk. And this episode was Alana, Wooly, Blessing, and others, and it was just like, oh, this was really cool to hear all of these guys talk to each other, and it was super interesting. One other person that I really enjoy is his name. I'm gonna pronounce it wrong, and I'm sorry. You can find him at Twitter at Alex Mukala. He is a video game composer, and his music is real good. And people should just give him a listen, give his stuff a listen, because it's rad. That's what I got.
Can I touch on a couple more?
Yes, please do.
Not video game wise. You don't know yet. You should know. I love art. I love concept art. I love character design. Very huge fan of artists online. And recently the Drawing While Black hashtag has been trending on Twitter. And I keep finding like more and more amazing people. If you're not familiar with Kiana's art, I think it's at Kiana Art on Twitter. She does a lot of like Pokemon art, like real cutesy style, lots of Team Rocket stuff. She recently was on a stream, and the American voice actress for Jessie from Team Rocket on Pokemon actually like came to her island. It was amazing.
That's awesome.
But I want to touch on a couple artists that I really enjoyed. There is at Vintage Foods _ who does character illustrations on Twitter, and he did some art of Mystique from X-Men that immediately I was like, oh shit, I need this guy's art on my page constantly. There's like, uses very simplistic, flat colors, thin lines, but the art comes across as being like really dynamic and angular, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
There's also, let me scroll down. Let me see if I can find everybody again. At SA1NT, like, so at Saint Cake, all caps, but instead of an I, it's a 1, who also just has just really pretty, like, uses a lot of warm colors, there's a lot of flowing lines, a mix of fan art and original art that's just really enjoyable to see.
Yeah.
Let's see, also, at Ackenbars on Twitter, who used to work for Adult Swim. It's also some really, really good art. Both characters and some backgrounds. And just, if you can, just scroll through the Drawing While Black tag on Twitter or probably on Instagram. There is some amazing talent.
Yeah, I went through that. I went through that list last night, and I was just there was so much good stuff. There was so much good stuff.
Lost in that for hours at a time whenever it's trending, and I think that it's really cool. I think that there's just some of these people are extremely underrated, and I would love to see their work on bigger titles, bigger shows.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, obviously, there's so many more people that we could talk about that maybe we're just not aware of or we're not thinking of right now. But there's so many content creators and amazing, talented people out there that you guys should definitely be giving a listen to. Yeah. Right now.
We don't have a very large platform, but
no.
With what little we do have, why not amplify some voices that are just extremely good?
Yeah. I mean, we have at least a couple people that listen to us. So
yeah.
If for whatever reason, if they are not being up or not entirely up to date or looking for new people to listen to or watch, then this is for you guys.
Yeah, if you're looking for more creatives, or if you realize that you probably have some sort of a blind spot regarding kind of the diversity of who you listen to.
Yeah.
It's really good. I'll also recommend, there's a TED Talk called The Danger of a Single Story, that I think is really relevant right now. It's like 15 to 20 minutes long. I had to watch it in high school for academic decathlon, but I really think that it's one that everybody should listen to.
Mm-hmm.
So we could probably drop a link to that in our description, or
links are going for all of this stuff down below.
What? Down below.
Down below. I pointed down below.
6 feet
in
under
video.
the ground below.
Gosh. Now I'm gonna listen to this Hadestown soundtrack and.
Okay, well, there ain't nothing wrong with listening to Hadestown.
There's nothing wrong.
Right?
It's so good.
Hadestown is so good.
I love it. It's such a good show. It's so good. It's so good. I think we're about wrapping up here. I guess because we didn't say it at the beginning and just want to be perfectly clear that Black Lives Matter. Protesters are doing some good work, and kudos to them. And again, like I said, we don't have a lot of people listening, but if you are in fact a racist and you're listening to this, please stop. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't want you listening or watching this.
If you can't acknowledge that what's going on with the police right now and the overabundance of violence going on in response to people saying, hey, you've done something wrong, and you can't acknowledge that something is definitely, on a systematic level, wrong, feel free to stop listening, because
I don't want to hear it.
What's going on it's not right.
Thank you guys for listening and watching.
Yeah, if you have any more recommendations for, podcast artists, shows of the same thread that, our voices to amplify, like, give us a heads up. We will totally, with what little following we have,
Yeah. You can
amplify some voices.
If you have things, if you have content that you listen to that we didn't talk about, you can send it to our Twitter, which is at Doing It Live Pod at Doing It Live Pod.
90% certain that's it. I still have forgotten to log in.
I'll write it on the screen for the video version, and I'll put it in. I'll put it in the description as well.
And I'll actually log into that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you the login information for it. We're a disaster, aren't we?
Yes, but
yes.
Otherwise people wouldn't listen to us.
Exactly. That's the plan. Yeah. So this has been Chase and Olivia. We did it live. We were doing it live, and we're done doing it live now.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.